Hello, everyone. You're welcome to today's episode. So exciting. It's so great to have you on this show today. Welcome. I'd like to know where you're connecting from, your location, and your name. And so, before we go into the show proper, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sandra Ukoh. I'm a Maxwell Leadership Certified Team Member, speaker, coach, and trainer. And basically, before we go in, I just want to shit this intro.
Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's the John Maxwell team. Our certified members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today.
Welcome to another episode of Making a Difference with Sandra Ukoh, a live show that brings people on the platform where we can glean from, where we alight and also celebrate and recognize leaders who dare to make a difference from all over the world for doing great things in their world. I believe there's a giant in you waiting to be discovered in a nest you have within you right now. All that you need to become that change agent and best version of you that God has made you to be. It is time to ignite you and discover your greater potential and to see the possibilities that exist within you to maximize your potential through this unique platform for mentoring and coaching and how we can become better versions of ourselves after being through the stage of survival to success and to living a life of significance, where we can leverage the power of storytelling as a strong communication tool. So let's celebrate these leaders and join us on another incredible segment of Making a Difference live show with your host, Sandra Ukoh. You're welcome. Hey, thank you. I hope you all felt welcome. And likely, and before I bring our guest on, I like to just read a short bio. Her name is Jamice Holley. And before I bring out, I just quickly read about and areas where she's making a difference in her world. Jamice Holley, founder of the Acts of Becoming LLC, is a coach, speaker, and a licensed mental health therapist who specializes in supporting her clients as they successfully navigate their relationships through the Imago relationship therapy process, working on their most important relationship, the one with themselves, God, and their partner. As a minister and a clinician, Holley approaches the healing and the growth process from a mental, emotional, and spiritual perspective to achieve impactful and lasting results. And the next person you get to see now is Jamie herself. Great to have you. I'm
Hi.
excited to have you today. Great. I know your schedule is so busy and so tight, but glad you are on this show today with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Sandra, and thank you so much for the invite. You're doing such great things over here. I just want to be a part.
Thank you so much. And I just read your bio. Is there anything I probably didn't cover? Did I say
No,
everything
I
you did?
mean, I think you covered it. Only thing is that I'm still in school. Well, I've transitioned from the master's degree program to now being in the PhD. So just in school, and a new mommy as of the end of January. My husband and I are in the process of adopting a beautiful baby boy. So those are two new things on there.
Awesome. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Putting a smile on someone's face. That's a great one. Thank you
Yes.
for that great work. It says,
Thank you.
yes, I just before we go on, I just know that you have a lot of guardian of degrees and knowledge. You're like self-driven, reading and doing all. So what's the driving force? What's propelling you? What's moving you to doing all this?
Right. I mean, Sandra, because I thought I was delivered after the last master's degree program. The academic turmoil, I thought I got delivered from it. But honestly, one, when I think about my childhood, right? Like I was one who definitely read a lot of books. I always had to have a series of things that I was reading. I wanted to do my best, like always wanted to strive for my best. But as as I got older, I never finished college. I was
Ooh.
23 and I got in a really bad car accident and I did not finish my degree. And so for a span of about 4 or 5 years, I wasn't in
So
school.
sorry.
But it's okay. It all worked out, right? It all kind of my life. It works together now. But um, I took that 5 to 6 years just to work, to play. Like I just did what I wanted to do, but wasn't really walking in purpose. And it wasn't until I found my purpose did I want to pursue the education behind it. And so once God revealed to me like who I was and what I'm called to do and my identity in him, I was like, okay, but I have gone to school reluctantly.
Yeah.
It has been a challenge because I think the other part to it was not really knowing if I could be smart, right? Or if I could get a master's degree, if I could get a doctoral degree. It seems like it's something that seems so unachievable at the same time, but God consistently shows himself faithful at every program.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's I like to recap on what you just said now. Knowing your purpose and your identity. A lot of times people go to school just because they are asked to go to school. But when you discover your purpose, the reason why you do what you do, you get to do it with passion. You get to do it with all of your heart. And the
Mhm.
energy is so hard because
Mhm.
you're doing it because you know the reason why you're going to school. And that was a great one, knowing that the moment you discover yourself. And that's one thing every youth, everyone should know identity, getting to know yourself. Who are you? And what have you been called to do? So the moment you know your purpose, you tend to want to put all the energy to back the reason why you're there.
Yeah.
But the issue comes when you don't know who you are, or
Yeah.
when you're trying to become someone you're not meant to be. So you just go, struggling and and murmuring even whilst doing it. You're not doing it with all of your heart. That was
Yeah.
a great one you just said. Finding your purpose and running with it. That's
Yeah.
a great one.
Yeah.
When I read your resume, it was like, wow, you're doing a lot on mental health. Can you share a little about the mental health therapy? What was the force that drove you in pursuing mental health therapy?
Yeah. And so, Sandra, I like to say that my purpose, I backed into it, right? If you think about like a parking spot and you are back, instead of going, forward into the parking spot, you are backing into it. And then you see, like, once you're looking on all sides, you're like, oh, okay, I fit. That's how I've backed into my purpose, right? Like, that's how I've liked to describe it. Because for a long time, that 5 or 6 year span while I wasn't in school, I was actually counseling folks, but I didn't have the language for it. So,
Wow.
mind you, I was working in accounting, and
Mm,
I would have people in my office sitting in my chair.
yeah.
I was supposed to be working with numbers, but I'm sitting here helping people, guiding them through the navigation of what they're thinking and what they're feeling, and giving them language to help them overcome whatever the problem is that they're facing right now. And so once I found the school that helped give language to what I was doing, I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this all along. I didn't even know this is what it was. And so it was beautiful when things started to come into the pieces of the puzzle started to come together. But for a while, I didn't know what I was operating in until school kind of gave language and a framework for what this is. And so once I
Mm,
had that understanding, I was like, I do this with my eyes closed. I'm on the phone talking to people every day. I didn't know this was what it was. And so therapy and mental health therapy is really about just helping you to find some type of alignment with your mental and emotional space, right? And most of the time, you just need to talk it out. Talking cures.
mm.
As if that's the
Mm.
best way to put mental health is talking cures. And sometimes you just gotta know what it is that you're thinking, or have someone reflect back to you what they heard you say so that you can actually hear what you're saying and just find that level of alignment or congruence in yourself.
Oh, that's awesome. So talking really cures.
Talking cures. I promise. It talking cures. A
No, and that's
45
the
minutes to an
reason.
hour conversation would change your life.
No, but that's true. one reason you just rang a bell to me now. But that's why, as leaders, we have to be good listeners, because people are talking to you. They want to see you're committed to whatever conversation you're having with them. They want you to be present, because you have a lot of people talking to you, but they're busy doing other things. They're not there. They're not present.
Mm-hmm.
So beyond that, you just said something that was really great to me. Talking cures. So a reason why people want to talk to you, they want to they want to take off all the burdens in their hearts. They want to share with someone, and that's a therapy. Helping them to unburden. And helping them to be relaxed. Which is a
Yeah.
great one. And as much, they also want to see people who have empathy, people who are ready to listen to them. Not people, because, she's talking, let us keep talking. And you're busy doing something else. They want to see that you're committed into the conversation. You're having eye contact. You're fully present. You're not on your phone, because a lot of times, we get in this age, a lot of people, while you're talking, I'm on my phone, I'm watching a movie, I'm doing some other things. So beyond that, I not get the reason why you said, talking is a therapy. So, and people would really love you to see that you're really present and fully present to listen, to help them, get the therapy they need. That's a great one.
And that was one of the misconceptions that I came into the framework of the knowledge of therapy, right? Was I thought therapy was me talking.
Yeah.
But therapy's not me talking. Therapy is the person coming to talk to me. And so therapy is me having the listening ears, being fully attuned, not just to what they're saying, but what their body is doing.
Body languages.
It. And so it's looking at the whole picture of a person and being able to reflect back to them, but you having to be fully present and listening, like you're saying. And so the therapist doesn't talk the most. The client does.
Yeah. That's a great one. And that's what coaching is all about too. Coaching is they talking and you just asking questions and see them, because they have the solution to whatever the problems they have. And that's why he said, for every man, all that we need to live life and be the best version of ourselves, God has input in us.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if we take time to look inward, we can get the cure for our problems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why in coaching doesn't the coach does not do most of the talking.
Yeah.
It's the client that does most of the talking.
Yeah.
Or the coach only guides and asks one or two questions and allow the clients to do most of the talking. Just like you rightly said, therapy, that's therapy too. So I could say coaching is
absolutely
a set of therapy.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. And that's the reason we all need to build a very strong and great listening skill. Mm-hmm. So beyond that, we're able to read the body language and we're able to provide solution. We're able to tell them, this is what you're going through. This is how you can go through it. And this is how to be strong in such a situation. So there is a lot you need to do as a good listener. But listening, you're able to, having eye contact, body language, gesticulation, everything, and be fully present with them when they are talking.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I also want to find out, based on your resume, you spoke about the imago relationship therapy. And how do you use it? How does this work? With the
oh my gosh, Sandra, when I came across imago therapy, I was in love. Okay. I was like, what is this and how can I get connected with it? But imago essentially stands for image, right? Like if you think of like imago Dei, right? Like the image of God, right? Imago stands for image. And so imago relationship therapy basically says that you are going to have a wonderful relationship. Okay. You're going to have you're going to fall in love. You're going to meet the person that you want to marry. You're going to get in love. And once you get married, you fall in love. There are going to be some challenges. There are going to be some power struggles. There's going to be some type of issue. And imago kind of helps you get to the root of the issue based upon looking at the areas of childhood that have impacted the struggles that are currently running rampant in your relationship. So, for example, right, what that might look like is I grew up, my mom and my stepfather were in my life, but my birth father wasn't very present. And so what that does for a young girl like me is dealing with issues of abandonment. So when that little girl gets into a relationship with a man who she loves, falls in love with, but then doesn't hear from him she gets upset. Okay. And so imagine I am a 25-year-old woman, or 28. I was 28 then when we got married. My husband is a plumber. So when he goes to work all day, he doesn't use his phone. He's dirty. He's getting his hands dirty. He can't talk. But all the while of what's happening while he's at home is I'm getting upset, thinking that he's abandoned me, thinking that he's left, thinking that he doesn't want to talk to me. I'm thinking all these rampant of things that has nothing to do with him, but has everything to do with the little girl who was abandoned by her birth father. So when he walks through the door, the person who he's going to get is not the 28-year-old woman that he left when he went to go to work. He's getting the 5-year-old little girl who wants to yell at her father for not being there. And so it used to, in my marriage, early on, the first year, I used to say, like, I used to pop off I used to get angry and mad at my husband all the time, because there was the issue of the root of the issue in my relationship with my husband was lack of communication. It was lack of communication. And I didn't know how to communicate what I needed from him. So if I could, instead of yelling at him when he walked through the door, and if I would have said, at a time when he's calmed down, he's had dinner and we're having a conversation, and be like, I would really love to hear from you today. Like just a song or a text message to let me know that you're thinking about me. A phone call, something, right? If I say that will grip his attention. And he'd be like, oh yeah, I could do that. Sandra, after I learned myself, right, and had to put those tools in place, my husband will send me a song. He would send me the lyric of the song. He would send me a text message throughout the day. But if the little girl never figured out how to use her voice to communicate what she needed, what she's going to do is she's going to operate from a space of a wound from her father and communicate that to her husband. And so Imago really has two people come and have a conversation about their childhoods, about the areas where they were pained the most, to get an understanding of, I see you now. Like, oh, I see you. You're the little girl who's hurt right now having this conversation. How can I empathize with you, right? And so it's getting the couple to empathize with each other, to validate each other, to provide the level of understanding that they wouldn't normally have because they're so elevated already, ready to attack the other person. So Imago is like, it's life and breath. It is so life and breath for couples. If you ever want to try get you an Imago therapist, we're all around the North America, and so it is, and even outside, they're like in Romania. It's really large.
That's a great one. I'm just hearing it for the first time. When I saw it in your resume, I was like, what's Imago? I'd like to find out a little more about it. And now that you've thrown more light to it, it's a lot explicit, and people can learn from it.
Yes.
It's always what you suffered in your childhood resurfacing in your adulthood, maybe your marriage, whatever relationships that you have. And so that's like a basic thing. You have to deal with the root cause, get it sorted out so that you don't have a ripple effect in the future. And that's a great one, dealing with the past in order to be able to have a good future.
Yeah.
So that means that if the root is barred, it's all matter of time, the plants will come crumbling.
Yeah, that's so good.
So you've got to get a root ready.
Yes.
And fine and tilled and doing well. So that in order to be able to get a great plant. And that's what you call like the mind, like the soil. The mind is the womb of creativity. So if you don't take care of the mind and you allow rubbish to get in, you're going to give out rubbish in return. So that's like a computer, garbage in, garbage out. What you allow to come in is what it's going to give out. And that's why the Bible talks about guarding your hearts or guarding your mind with all diligence. For how it becomes the issue of life. So you allow just any kind of junk, people around you to just say things to you. In return, it might not just be immediately, but as time goes on, you begin to act what they've said in the past concerning you. And that's why I told Sarah when I said it's just like having a soil. You planting a seed.
Yeah.
If the seed is not well tended, it's not going to give you a good result. But when you take care of the seed, if the seed is faulty, whatever you plant will affect the end result. That means the plant will not grow healthy. So
Yeah.
you've got to take care of the root first,
Yes.
ensuring that the seed is right,
Yeah.
ensuring that the seed is in the best of health, so that when you plant it, the results you get at the end of the day will be the best of all plants, and you can have a very blooming,
Mm-hmm.
plant doing well.
Yeah, that's so good.
That's a great one. I actually
Mhm.
needed to use illustration for people to be able to get it, because
Yes.
about it is like you have to deal with the roots. You can't start dealing with the results, because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you know, but people do that a lot of times.
You got to
You
deal with the
have the
root.
results. At the end of the day, it's only going to be temporary.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
be permanent. But when you take care of the root, you find that your relationship will begin to flourish.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you've dealt with the roots. Now you can have thereafter having a good home, having a good
Mm-hmm.
relationship. But if
Mm-hmm.
you've gone to deal with the result, it's only going to be temporary. Then
Yeah.
after a while, you will go back again.
Mm-hmm. Because think about most of the time when it comes to relationships, when there's conflict, right? The first thing you're thinking is that the person is against you.
Yeah.
And in a relationship, the person is on your side. You're on the same team. How do we become enemies, right? And it becomes because your brain then starts to go back to fight or flight mode, right? You want to fight, flight, freeze, and you want to do something that's opposite of, or typically you want to protect yourself, right? If
Yeah.
you think about a crocodile and a turtle, imagine a crocodile and a turtle having a fight in a relationship. The crocodile is going to hold or grab onto a thing until there's no more sign of life, but the
Yeah.
crocodile is afraid. The turtle is going to go in a shell and be withdrawn and not come out until it's the light of day until he feels that he's safe. So both animals in the kingdom are afraid, but they don't know how to communicate to each other in their so that there's a level of acceptance or and so that is what happens with Imago. You got a person who wants to be fully uh yelling and just getting their point across, and then you got another person who's like, I don't want to talk. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not gonna say nothing until you get quiet. And then literally both of them have to find a level of safety. Imago in the therapeutic setting provides a level of safety where you take your level of protection down, you take your safeguard down, and we get to the root where, if we talk about the root of your pain as a child, it's safe in this space. And the person whom you've trusted to love with and whom has your back will get that opportunity to repair the rupture of what
Sure.
happened in the root, repairing the rupture, what happened with your father or what happened with your mother. And so it's dynamic when you see it, but it's another thing when you experience it. And so me and my husband did it for about a year, and it transformed our relationship completely.
That's a great one. Knowing the root cause, dealing with the root cause, rather than dealing with the result or the symptoms, because
Mm-hmm.
the symptoms it will still come back. But going back to the roots and having it done well and repaired, fixing the roots, then you find that at the end of the day, the result will be great thereafter.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Because to me, what I thought relationships were to me, beyond just having a relationship with your husband, relationships are also the ships where we ride on to destiny. God has given us relationship either with our parents, our friends, our families, everywhere we go to, we connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's some relationship that is there for a season, some are there for a reason. So God bring people into your life for a certain reason, a certain purpose. And so what are your relationships and how are you taking care of them? So have you managed your relationship with family, friends, and your circle of friends? Have you kept them? Beyond that, you want to keep relationships that, I tell people that you get to lose money. It's easy to find money. But when you really lose relationship, getting it back sometimes might be difficult. You might never get it back.
Mm-hmm.
So beyond money, relationship is a better currency than money. So what would you say as regards your relationship with your spouse, friends, and people around you that God has given and planted you with?
What's the question?
How is your relationship with
How
your
is my
friends,
relationship? Okay.
families? Have you been able to connect with them? Have you been able to build a great relationship? Like I rightly said, I said relationships are the ships we're right on to destiny. God places people in, and that's why, the word that says God places solitary in families. God people put people around you to help guide you. They are there for a reason. So how have you been able to tend those relationships to see them grow and become stronger? You know, we've had people who had relationships, but thereafter had a broken relationships. There's no connection with the people God has placed them with. You know, we talk about destiny helpers, we talk about vision helpers, people who God has placed in our paths to help us get to the next level. Have you been able to manage such a relationship?
Yeah. Well, that's been one of the greatest areas of pain as well. As well as an area that I know God is anointing me for at the same time. Right. So it's just like God had to get some oil out of this when it comes to relationships. But I know that for me, I like to carry and I like to hold on to relationships even when they aren't healthy for me. I like to I gotta have everybody has to go with me. Nobody can stay, right? That friendship.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's hard for me to let go of the friendship for the season, Sandra. How do we do that? But no, I've learned that it's okay that people can walk away, right? It's okay to let them go. It's okay for you to move forward. It's okay to close doors to some relationships. And mainly these were like areas and friendships. But I've had to literally let people go and trust that God's got everybody, right? Like not trying to cling and hold on to people.
No,
But also looking at, especially coming in from the Maxwell side of things, is learning to see people as a 10 and not always assume the worst of people.
Sure, making excuses for them.
Right. And so for me, it's like, well, if I see you as a 10 and I'm going to look and with the lens of value and truly value you because I know God values you, then that's how I'm going to proceed further. And so right now, my relationship with my family has been like top priority this year, especially. My mom lives with us. My father is deceased. My stepfather. So I try to foster them as much as I possibly can, but I also know where my limitations are, where I can't be everywhere with everybody at every time. And so, it's the area of growth, but I know the areas have been the areas of, do I let go or do I keep letting this relationship injure me in a way that is not healthy for me?
No, sometimes you have to let go. And that's why I said there's some people they're there for a reason, and some are there for a season. Some just come and they have to go. Some are there for, really, that's it. You can't cling too much beyond what God wants you to keep them for.
Yeah.
God must have brought them for such a time as this. When they come into your life, you've got to do what you need to do because that relationship might not be long. They might just be in a passing phase. They might just have met you suddenly.
Yeah.
And that's why, as a soldier, we must be ready for battle. You must be ready to pass on whatever you have, you want to give to them, because you may never get to see such person again. Yeah. And that's why I said they are there for a season. They just come and they go.
Right.
But beyond that, like the Maxwell family taught us, we are a people of value. We see value in ourselves. So we add value to ourselves. And because we do add value to ourselves, we want to also give value to everyone that comes around us.
Yes.
You understand? Beyond that, what else? But you want to give the best. Yeah. So everyone you see, and you must see with the eyes of a 10. Yeah. It's that what you give is what you get in return. So if I see you with the eyes of 10 and see the best of you and make excuses for your mistakes, I want to see the best of you. Yeah. I won't easily get offended because I have seen you with the eyes of value. I can see that you're a valuable person. But if I run you down and look down on you, that's the result you will give me.
Right.
Because that's what I want to be seen as. I want to be seen as a 10. I want to be seen as a good friend. So I do not want to be seen as someone who is there to pull you down. So life is about what you give, you get in return. If you give me garbage, you get garbage in return. You give me smiles, you get smiles in return. So that's how life is. But beyond that, even when we're called to be leaders, it is said that everything rises and falls with a leader. And a leader is one who knows it and shows the way to others. Yeah. You're called to serve. And when you're called to serve just anybody and everybody. So you can choose the people you serve.
Yeah.
So, and in serving, you're being lifted, you're growing. Because as you stretch to share what you've learned, you're also improving yourself. Like I rightly would tell you, there's no leader that got doing anything once for the first time. Great, he or she got over time
Yes.
how to do things over and over and over again. So beyond that, I tell people, I said, no one got good at doing anything for the first time. Great,
Right.
and that when you make mistake in life, it's another way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So beyond that, life is about, giving your best to everything because you never know when it will count. You never know who is looking, who is watching you. And
Yeah.
so you're meant to be a light. So you're meant to light your word. So
Mm-hmm.
even when things are not going fine with you, you don't carry it all over you, such that everybody gets to see that things are not working out for you. But you
Yeah.
put up smiles, you look at the other side of life, knowing that these too will pass away. It's
Mm-hmm.
only but for a moment.
Yeah.
But when you allow things to wear you down, it affects your relationship with every other person around you.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
So I like us to take a water break. When we come back, we ask further questions and also check out the comments if there's any question from any of our guests today.
Okay.
So welcome back. Great. In the process, okay, thank you back and thank you for being on the show. Thank you for honoring the invitation. And that's why we just took a break and I want to welcome everyone back. And we just spoken about the Imago and the mental therapy, just for those who are just coming in, and how you can approach your healing and growth process through the mental health by speaking out, by sharing, and the client does most of the talking. So in the process, have you had in the process while doing all this, have you had difficult times when you feel like throwing in the towel, when you feel like, oh, I want to put a stop to all this. I think I'm tired. Am I sure this is what God wants me to do? What have you done? How have you been able to manage that relationship? That's that time, that period of your life, like you felt everything was falling apart. You want to stop it, you just want to end it all.
Oh my goodness, Sandra. There's a whole laundry list of it. Okay. I think I quit just about every day. Okay. I quit. I quit the program mentally every day, without a doubt. But I think the main thing that was like the life challenge was, and I believe this is what was pivotal for like my turn when all that kind of happened by not finishing my degree, finding out my purpose and kind of moving in that direction was I got saved. And in between that, I really had a small view and vantage point of myself. So my dream was just to get married and have kids. Like I didn't want anything else. But when I got saved and I found my purpose, it was like my purpose was to preach and to teach and to minister the gospel and share and what you who gonna do what? No, not me. No, no, Lord, no, right? And so majority of my response to God was no. And I would go fighting. I always use the visual. I don't know if I'll try to describe it in the best way I can. But imagine like a cartoon visual, and a little cartoon character is pushing another, and the other person's feet are like dirt is piling up at the feet of the other person being pushed. That was me, because I felt like so many of the different assignments that God has brought to me when it came to my purpose that I had to be pushed in order to do it. And that was mainly because, and I'm pursuing in my doctoral degree now, is there was a lot of imposter syndrome. There was a lot of not feeling qualified to do the thing that God had called me to do when I was just a simple little country girl who just wanted to get married and have kids, right? Now you're talking about something bigger, and you're talking about dreaming bigger. You're talking about being on stage. You're talking about preaching with a microphone and what? Like, no. And I just want to go run into a shell, right? Like that turtle version. I want to go and run into a shell because I don't feel like I can do what God has called me to do. And so my hump of trying to get over getting, as John Maxwell would say, get over yourself, right? It's not about you, but all the time I would put myself in the forefront and struggle to get over that in order to do the assignment. And so I quit. Or I tell the Lord no. And I would be the little rebellious one trying to fight in the corner until it's due day, right? And so I literally had to learn that, and in my nature, my name, right, deals with like Jacob, the one who would wrestle with God, right? And I've been coming into a knowledge of understanding of this scripture that he wasn't wrestling against God, he was wrestling with God. So the wrestle should be that we're doing this together rather than we're trying to do this apart or separate. And so my now is, I used to take on a lot of things and try to do it on my own strength. Now I'm like, if the grace of the Lord ain't in it, I don't want to do it.
I'm not doing it. That's true.
When there's a grace for it and when there's provision for it, you ain't gonna have me out here working harder.
And indeed, when there's provision for it, you got to do it with ease.
Yes.
But if you're doing it on your own struggles, it's going to be a lot of work for you.
Absolutely.
So you must find out what you're called to do.
Yeah.
Because when you're called to do something, there's always grace for you to do it well.
Yes.
But if you want to do things because every other person is doing it, the grace might not be there for you to do it. You just get there and you'll be there for, and you keep going in circles. But when you're doing something God has called you to do, he backs it up. He doesn't call anyone he does not equip.
Yeah.
Everyone God calls, he equips. Yeah. And that's why you have provision for vision.
Yes.
He's a pro for the vision.
Right.
God is giving you provision in order to be able to carry out your vision.
Yeah.
So if you don't discover who you are, who you're called to be, what's your vision, what's your purpose, you're going to be living in somebody else's dream. You're going to be struggling to be able to carry it out, to live it out. But when you understand and know who you are, whom's you are, then you're able to run with, God, this is what you've called me to do. How do I go about it? And daily, there's this grace, this favor, and strength from God to be able to do it. And that's why it is said that everyone that God has created, he has put in us all that we need to live and to fulfill life. But a lot of times we're too busy. So we do not take time to pause and reflect and look inward and take strength from inward rather than taking strength from and advice from the people that are around us. We have noisy, it's too noisy out there. So we need to be quiet and look inward. And I found that work for me a lot of times.
Absolutely.
Strength just comes from nowhere because I'm able to keep quiet. I'm able to say, Lord, I need help. What do you want me to do next? And just, an idea just comes. And a strategy and a new way of doing it, strength just comes from nowhere and you're able to do it. And someone is like, oh my God, you are so strong. It's not about me. It's not about you. But it's about the grace of God, being there for us.
Yes.
Because we're taking our time to look inward. We're taking our time to look at our maker. It's just like, going out with a manual, knowing the manual, what the manual says about the laptop or what and our manual is the Bible, the book. So if we do not take time to go into the book, there's no way we'll be able to live life to the fullest.
That's
you
good.
Want to say something?
I was going to say that part of that in-between space was I had a false ideology of who God was, right? Because essentially what the belief that I'm now operating in is that God is a liar, right? God doesn't tell the truth. And he is not concerned about me, right? You going to drop so I had to get a full understanding with my relationship with God first and understanding really who God is and not that he's somebody that would not show up for me. Because again, right, the wound that I have from my father is now playing in the wound that I'm seeing with the lens that I see God in. That God is going to abandon me. right? That God isn't going to show up for me, that God isn't, you're going to have me out here on this stage and then I'm going to flop and I'm going to fail. You're going to have me out here preaching to people and they're going to be throwing tomatoes at me, right? Like, so I had a belief system that God would not show up, that God would lie, and that God would set me up. And I'm like, where do you see that God at? Who is that God? That's not God. That's your father, right? That's the lens of the man that you grew up with, not the lens of the one who loves you, not the lens of the one who has called
Sure.
you and give you this purpose. And so once I've reconciled, and I think often, when I can easily fall into the trap to be like, oh, God ain't gonna show up. Wait a minute. What lens are we looking at God in? The one that you grew up from your father, or the one who loves you and created you?
That's a great word. Really great. Seeing God in the eyes of God, seeing that He's a creator and He has your best interest at heart, not your earthly father. And there's a statement in the Bible that says, even if your earthly parents, forget you, God would never, He would never forget you. I want to find out, what's your success story thus far regarding approaching the healing, the growth from a mental, emotional, spiritual point? Have you been able to manage difficult times, like you rightly said? And how do you relax?
Oh, yeah. So I would say my greatest success story is my health. Because I gave God my yes and being on a hospital bed and facing death, literally. I in 2021, for maybe about a week or a weekend, it's all a blur now at this point, but over time I was my lungs were filling up with blood. I had blood clots and I had no idea. And I was walking on it for time and time. And even in my full awareness, I was like, something's not right. Something's wrong. But I would still go to bed and I would wake up like, I'm alive. Okay, so something must be okay or something not right. And so once I finally trusted that, when I was struggling to breathe, I get to the hospital and all 5 lobes of my lungs are filled with blood. I was like, oh my gosh. And the doctor to tell me, if you didn't come in when you did, we wouldn't be having a conversation. And so just to know that God had preserved my life, that God had kept me here for such a time as this, and that I remember being on that hospital bed, Sandra, and I was like, I didn't do what you told me to do, Lord. I was supposed to write the book.
Yeah.
I was supposed to start the company. I was supposed to start the podcast. All of these things that were sitting over here in this big old pot of gold, right, was waiting on me. And I'm now in a position where I'm not even going to be able to do it if I don't really give God my full yes. And I told the Lord on that hospital bed that night, I said, from this point forward, you have my yes. Even if it's scary, even if I'm afraid, even if I don't know how it's going to turn out,
I'm just going to start out.
I surrender and I give you my yes.
Awesome.
And that was the takeoff of Maxwell Leadership. That was when I started doing the transformation trips with Maxwell. That's when I started the podcast. Like everything that I told God no on, after I left that hospital, I said, I had a different mindset, because when you are close to death and you haven't fulfilled your purpose, I think Miles Monroe says it all the time, that the funeral or the burial grounds is the most populated place of purpose.
Yeah, because a lot of people never lived out purpose.
Yeah. I didn't want that to be. I don't want my dash to be that Jamice was so scared that she never even pursued the things of God. I didn't want that to be my dash. So ever since then, I've been hitting the ground running. And God has been the peace as well as the fuel that consistently keeps me going. My husband is my number one cheerleader. I lean into my relationships a lot because it's scary. Listen, the fear is real, right? But one of my friends, she would say, I think her coach told her that we just got to tell fear, take a front seat or take a back seat or sit here in the front while I do this, right? Like fear is going
to me, what I say, fear,
overcome this.
Yeah, what I take to be fear, everyone goes through fear. Everyone has fear around them. But
Mm-hmm.
doing things, being afraid, courage is doing it while
You're
afraid.
afraid. Yeah.
Just go out there, hit the road. Whether you fail, pick yourself up, keep running. Just at all means, just keep running.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're going to fail. But
Yeah.
beyond, if you see failure as something bad, then it's going to be bad for you. But
Mm-hmm.
Like Maxwell rightly said, he said failure is a good thing because you
Yeah.
learn so much from failure that than
Yeah.
you would with success. Because failure will take you back to the drawing board to find out what do I need to do right to become a success. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, if you keep failure and success together, this will keep you resilient in life.
Yeah.
Meaning you fall, you rise. You are
Mm-hmm.
meant to keep rising until you cannot fall any longer.
Yeah.
So we have got to keep rising. There will be times in life that things are going to be so difficult, no one to run to. But beyond that, we're expected to pick up ourselves. Everything will come crumbling. Pick yourself and start the race. It is said that
Mm-hmm.
the journey of 1,000 miles start with little step. So you
Yeah.
must take that baby step today.
Yes.
Start whatever you want to start afraid. That's
Mm-hmm.
courage.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
start it. Yes,
Yeah.
it might not. People will sit there who would not make a move, will try to run you down. But
Mm-hmm.
beyond that, you don't need them. Like when I read the book Putting Your Dream to Test by John Maxwell,
My favorite book.
it's awesome. It says, if you are achieving and doing great things,
Yeah.
you will be criticized by people.
You will.
People who can be like you, who should rather have come to you and say, okay, show me how you do it. Let's get to do it together. Can we collaborate? How do we do it so we can become winners? It
Mm-hmm.
takes two to tango.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So,
Yeah.
but rather than they coming to meet you, they rather want to pull you down.
Mm.
So you don't. He said, even professional athletes, they ignore. People will surely talk about you as long as you're living.
Yes.
The only time people stop talking about anyone is when you're dead, when you're no more.
Right.
As long as you're on this side of the planet, you're going to have people talk about you.
Yeah. It's
You've got to
inevitable.
learn to ignore and move at God's own pace. What
Mm-hmm.
is God telling you at that particular time? What
Yeah.
has He called you to do?
Yeah.
Pick yourself up and run. Yes, you might fail whilst doing it, but you get good by doing it over and over and over again. And like it's rightly said, he said, what doesn't stretch you doesn't grow you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't leave your comfort zone to get where God wants you to be, you will not get there.
Yeah.
So
That
you got
comfort.
to stretch yourself like
Yeah.
the rubber band
I
policy.
don't like the rubber band version.
You got to stretch it.
I
You're
just
gonna
had a
get what you want.
conversation with a friend about that the other day. I was like, I don't want the rubber band. Okay. I don't want to be stretched. But
No, if
the
you don't
longer
want to be
rubber
stretched,
band,
no,
right.
it's
It gets
very.
out of
And
your
I think
comfort.
that's one of the laws in the 15 Invaluable Laws of
Yes.
Growth, written
Yes.
by John Maxwell. You've
Yeah.
got to stretch to
You
grow.
gotta be
You've
stretched.
got to pour into others for you to get more.
Yeah.
Because we have the policy like people say, oh, when you give, you tend to poverty. No,
Mm.
but in this side of our, when you give and give and give, you get good.
Mm,
When
yes.
you teach and teach what you know, you get good at what you teach.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like giving, pouring yourself to others,
Yeah.
not refilling you.
Right.
You're having freshness all the time you give out. But when you try too hard and keep to yourself, you stink because you don't pour out to others. And you
Yeah.
don't improve, you don't grow.
Yes. One of my pastors says you should be the river, not the reservoir. And so you should be able to pour, not just sit and hold it all in.
True. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate. Before we call it a day, I want to find out if you have any unique stories, something you want to say to wrap this session up. I also want to thank our viewers who have been online watching and listening. If you have any comments, any question, you might want to drop it in the comment section so that I'll be able to ask our guests today. And before we call it a day, do you have anything, any closing remarks, any word you want to leave with the audience?
Yeah, I would just leave the word of fight the good fight of faith. I mentioned just briefly here with Sandra and on here that in January, my husband and I uh, received the best gift we could ever receive as we were waiting for to have children, and we went so many different routes to make that happen, but God did it overnight for us at the end of January. And I was so grieved in my spirit that day when God blessed us and things changed suddenly. And so just wanted to encourage anybody that if you're looking for something and for God to move at a particular area in your life, that there may be some odds stacked against you, right? Or there may seem at times that the promise isn't going to live or that the promise is going to die before it lives. And you're just wanting to know if there's going to ever be an opportunity where God will do this and God will bless you. God will definitely bless you. Just keep your faith encouraged. Keep knowing that He is the one who is. He said it's in Hebrews 11 that without faith it's impossible to please God. So let your faith and please God, and knowing that He will move suddenly. Just keep having the faith, for He is the author and the finisher of faith. So what He start, He will finish.
Sure. Yes, I have a comment here. It says, great testimony, Jamie, by Emmanuel.
Thank you.
You rightly said it. God has given each and every one of us a lively hope. And that hope is what you call faith. So we have a lively hope. So let's go out there believing for the best, going out for the best. That whatever we put our hands to do, we, seeing the best in all that we do. Yes, while looking out for seeing the best, good things will always come your way. Yes, sometimes things can come wrongly, but whilst looking and trusting God for the best, you will always get the best, no matter what life brings to you, but be ready to take and be ready to receive the best from God. I want to encourage everyone, let's go out there, dare to make a difference in our world. Let's go out to be a different person and impact our world. Do have a blessed day. Bye, everyone. And thank you for making the time to joining us on this show. So we meet in our next episode. Do have a great evening.